Okay, welcome everyone. I'm really excited to have you here. I can't wait to share my tips and tricks with you on how to get to know yourself on a deeper level, to take some control back of your own life. So, I want to start by telling you a little bit about me. My name is Jody, and a few short years ago, my life was a hot mess. I was married for 21 years at the time and started to feel like I didn't want to be married anymore. And I didn't understand why, because my husband is a wonderful man who never did anything wrong. And I had nothing to complain about. So that kind of threw me for a loop. I had also worked for the same organization in corporate for over 21 years. I had a great job, great pay, great benefits. And I started to feel like I didn't belong there, that it really wasn't the job for me. I started to feel like I didn't fit in, like the money didn't matter anymore. All of these strange feelings that I had never had before and I didn't understand it. And so I was looking for ways to understand myself better. Why did I feel this way? Why was this happening? But while all of this was going on, I was taking care of my parents who were both ill. And this was in 2020 when COVID was going on. And I lost my parents within a span of 8 months. And so after that, my life really went through a spiral after spiral of just anxiety and depression and just not knowing who I was and where I fit in the world and who I wanted to be and even who was I? Who had I been? Did I Was I supposed to be here? Did I fulfill my purpose? Was there another purpose? And so that's when I started looking into ways to get to know myself better so that I could at least understand what I was feeling and why I was feeling this way. And I learned so much about not just myself, but other people as well. And it put me on a completely different path than I had ever been on in life. It started to make me feel good about myself. It started to make me feel like I did have the ability to change my life. I had the ability to fulfill my purpose, and it showed me how to find my purpose. And so I probably spent the better part of 3 years studying everything I could about energy and how that impacts us, because that's where I was finding the differences in myself was in my energy. And so I am now a certified quantum human design specialist, which I absolutely love. I am the founder of Infinite Soul, which is a spiritual based business where I help people through their spiritual awakenings and through those same type of scenarios that I was going through. I'm also the creator of the Holistic Energy Empowerment System, which is the system I'm going to tell you about today, which is a system that allows us to get to know ourselves on a deeper level. Um, I see, Colleen, you're a 3-5 splenic projector, so that's pretty exciting. Uh, Projectors are tough. I think they're all tough. I think all types are tough to live, but I think once you know what the point of your energy type is, that's 70% of your design. So you're 70% of the way there. So I'm psyched that you already looked up your chart and you know that. So what I want to do today is I want to walk you through what human design is and how you can use it to really get to know yourself on a deeper level and really allow it to take you from stress to blessed. So the universe is always throwing us challenges, if you will, or making us work for what we want. And so what happened to me today is I lost access to my email, which meant that I lost access to my Google Drive, which meant that I lost access to all of my notes for this presentation. So I hope that you'll bear with me a little bit. And I am going to shut the camera off just because it makes me nervous. And when I see myself, because I talk with my hands, when I see myself, it distracts me and then I get lost. And so because I don't have my notes, that's one more reason I'm going to do that. But another reason I'm going to do that is I'm going to be completely vulnerable and honest with you and tell you that as hard as I've worked on myself, I still have things to work on. And one of those things is seeing myself on camera. I've never liked my picture taken. I've never liked my video taken. And now here I am presenting on video. So it does throw me off a little. So I am going to shut the camera off, but I will turn it back on at the end when we have questions. So let me do that real quick. And I'm really excited to have you girls here. So I am going to follow some handwritten notes here. So you may hear paper. I was trying to put something together as close as I could to what I had prepped for you guys without my actual notes. So if you hear paper, that's why. But the first thing I really want to talk to you about is boundaries, because I think that boundaries shows us a good example of how our energy works. So you know how you set boundaries with people and it's often uncomfortable because you are probably saying or doing something that may not be the popular answer. And so a lot of times when we go to set boundaries, we end up giving up our own boundaries because we feel bad or we feel guilty or we're worried about how someone else can take it. That's our energy talking to us. And a lot of times when our energy is telling us that something is outside our comfort zone, it's really pushing us into doing something that's going to help us or going to benefit us. But we often do the opposite because that's how we were raised. It's a learned behavior. As babies, we look to our parents for approval on everything. So we tend to forget that we have our own internal superpowers, if you will, that pretty much tell us everything that we need to know when we listen to it. So those feelings that we have are our guidance system. But in order for that to work correctly, we have to learn to value ourselves. And so this workshop is going to introduce you to the secret behind all of this and show you how it works in our lives to help us to stand in our power and to see why that's so important. So we all have boundaries and they show up in our aura. You see it when you meet people. You know how sometimes you meet people and you just connect, you just click, or some people you just know, yeah, we're not going to connect, we're not going to click. Those are boundaries. That's your energy, and different people give us different vibes. Some people are really easy to get along with and some people make us uncomfortable. That is all energy. And so human design is really the blueprint of your energy. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today. But I want to start by talking about conditioning because it's through our conditioning that our true selves or our true identity is hidden. Conditioning can happen in a few different ways, and I'll go over those briefly. But every single one of us on this earth has been conditioned in some way, shape, or form. So I'll give you an example of that. Maybe you guys know somebody like this, but I used to have this boss, and amazing guy, really great guy, covered in tattoos. And he used to hide those tattoos because he felt like it wasn't professional. And I also have friends who have tattoos that hid them from their parents for a long time, or that wouldn't get them because their parents wouldn't like them. And this is all part of our energy. And we do that because we're worried about what society thinks. That's a way that we've been conditioned that teaches us to hide things from society because we don't want to feel uncomfortable. And so it's not just tattoos that do this to us. This is just an example of this. But the truth is, we all have our own lessons to learn, our own battles to fight, and we've all been conditioned in different ways, even if we grew up in the same homes, because some of our conditioning can come from past lives, if you believe in that, or generational or genetically. So it's sort of like that. Until you walk in my shoes, you really shouldn't make or form an opinion on how I manage things. And what I found with myself was that I was very judgmental. I was judging people by the things they said, the way they looked, and that's not who I wanted to be. And so one of the things that I learned when I studied human design was that was in my conditioning, and that I had the power and the freedom to change that if I wanted to. And so this system really manages so many different aspects of your life that we don't even think about or think that we have any control of until we really study our own energy. And human design teaches us that our own unique energy is supposed to operate so that we can more easily see where we may have been conditioned, which allows us to peel those layers away so that we can start seeing the confidence that we have underneath that conditioning. And I'll tell you, when I first started this, that I didn't believe that I was confident in any way, shape, or form. But one of the things that kind of pushed me into studying energy was I had a very good friend who told me that the way that this person saw me was as a very strong, very independent professional. And that was not at all how I saw myself, even though my job required me to have that. And I know now that I did have that. I didn't see it for myself because I felt unworthy. I felt like I wasn't powerful because I wasn't good enough. But this system is going to allow you to peel away all those layers so that you can really find that confidence within yourself. And so I want to talk about where conditioning can come from. So conditioning can come from open centers, which this is human design. And so if you look at this body graph up at the top, that's what this is called as a body graph. If you look at this body graph, anywhere where we're open, and this particular one happens to just be a blank body graph, there's no energy at all in here. But when we get into the actual energies, and if you've run your own, you've probably seen it, unless you're a reflector, some of these are going to be colored, and these are called your energy centers. But any that are left white are open, and that's where we take in energy from other people as well as the universe, and we amplify that. So whatever somebody else might be feeling, you're going to, if you're open in a particular area, you're going to take in their energy and you're going to amplify it. So you're going to put it out stronger than even they would, which makes you feel like that's part of your energy, but it's not. And so when you understand human design, you can be aware of that so that you can not, or be aware of the energies that you're taking in so that you can understand that those are not your energies and react in a different way. Another area they can come from is in imprinting. And imprinting is following the norms of society, even if it isn't what you feel in your heart. And I am pretty sure everyone in the universe has been through this, where you've done something that you didn't want to do because you felt bad for someone else, or you were worried about society, what society would think, say, do. Yeah, Colleen's G center, sacral, and solar plexus are open. Yeah, we're going to go through that too. We're going to talk a little bit about what that means for each of those centers. But especially the G center, that can be a really tough one. So conditioning can also come from generational energy patterns. So this is the energy that's passed down over generations, and it can include things like addiction, trauma, depression, anxiety. And this can also include things like the abandonment wound. And so this is a wound that I had within me that it was passed down generationally. And it was passed down to me from my dad. So his dad wasn't really there for him when he grew up. And so my parents were divorced when I was 3. And when my dad left, that really hit me hard. And I took that abandonment wound into the rest of my life. And until a couple of years ago, when I started studying this, I didn't realize how much that wound was actually impacting so many different areas of my life. And so I want to be sure that this ends with me. And by studying our human design, we have the ability to do that. Because when we heal it in this generational energy pattern, we heal it for those behind us. Another way that we can pass down conditioning is through genetics. And this is information passed down generationally through our DNA. And this can include even things like sports teams, political parties, eye color. This is the tiny particles of information, which are called neutrinos. This is where those get passed on to us. And our conditioning can come in the form of feelings and beliefs, like I said earlier, as in a sports team or a political party. So you may be holding on to beliefs that your parents or your grandparents had that were passed down to you, and you may not even realize it. So I gave you the example of the tattoo earlier, and when my parents were alive, there is no way I would have gotten a tattoo because both of them had this belief about it that it was unprofessional, just like my old boss did. And it was kind of drilled into my head, this family doesn't get tattoos. I'm happy to say now I do have one because I have realized that those beliefs that I had, that I actually believed were my beliefs, were actually my parents. And so I realized that and started breaking free from all of these things that really were holding me back. And I'm not saying a tattoo is holding me back, but there are other things that were holding me back because they were beliefs that I thought that I had, but they weren't really my beliefs. They were passed down to me. Another example of this would be swearing. So growing up, my parents didn't really swear a lot in the house, and we didn't swear a lot in or we don't swear a lot in my home. I'm not going to say it never happened, but we just don't do it. Because I grew up believing that it again was unprofessional. It made you look bad. But I heard my daughter over Thanksgiving break swearing, and it triggered me. And so I started paying attention to what she was saying. And when I realized how she was using it, I realized that it's really just the words. It's language, but it's in how you present that language. So she was swearing, the way that she was swearing, she was using it as an emphasis. She wasn't using it in the way in which I was brought up, where it's used in a derogatory manner. And so I still don't really like it because it triggers me, but I know now that it's just a word, and how we use that really represents how we are trying to present that. Like I said, she was using it as an emphasis. And so I didn't say anything because I know that she didn't mean it in that derogatory manner. But I know that generationally, the way that we think of swears has changed a lot because of that. So I think that's part of a combination of imprinting and genetics. But energy is really the key to who we are and where we're going in life. And so when we don't deal with something, it's not going to just go away. So this is a chance for us to break our generational energy patterns so that our kids don't have to go through the same pains that we do. And so I do this because I don't want my children or my grandchildren to suffer from feeling like they're not important or they're not worthy the way that I felt. And in all honesty, when I broke that down for myself, I was really shocked by how much of a belief that I didn't realize that I had could impact my life. So I have made it my mission to teach as many people as possible about their energy and how it works for them, to help them to learn to love and value themselves and use their energy to open themselves up to more opportunities. These are messages for us to be able to heal a certain aspect within ourselves. And most of us, like I said earlier, most of us stick to our comfort zones because it's just easier. But in the end, it makes our lives harder because these events are going to keep presenting themselves until we heal through it. So at some point, we're going to have to go through that pain again, whether it's by when you don't deal with it, it repeats itself. So you have a choice to keep repeating it and have it repeat itself over and over again, or you can deal with it by learning to understand your energy and using it to help you to heal, so that once you feel it this one long hard time, you can then let it go, so that feeling doesn't keep presenting itself, it doesn't keep repeating itself. Those things that happen in our lives that present that feeling, those don't keep happening. And this is how we learn from it. Because at some point, you're going to have to go through that pain again. So you might as well get it over with, face it in the now, and put it behind you. Because our energy is magnetic, and it magnetizes in what we need to heal those wounds. So when something uncomfortable comes up, that's the opportunity for us to heal the deeper wound that's behind that. So to do this, we have to value ourselves. And I know when I was in this position, I definitely did not value myself like I do today. And this is the process that helped me learn how to value myself. And that's why I want to share that with you. So, in the holistic energy empowerment system, we're going to teach you how peeling back the layers of your stuck energy helps you to forgive yourself. And it's really in that forgiveness that we find that deep love for ourselves. So, I want to show you this by showing you each person's unique energy. But before I do that, I want to tell you what human design is and how powerful it can be in our lives. Human design is a map of our unique energy, and it tells us where it comes from and how we can use it to change the way that we see things. And I think this is really important because understanding who we are on an energetic level and understanding why we are that way changes the way that we can look at things and opens us up to see our own potential. We're not always nice to ourselves, or at least I know I wasn't. In fact, sometimes we can be our own worst enemy in the way that we talk to ourselves or in the way we think about ourselves. And I know I was very, very guilty of this. So when I learned this, this is what changed everything for me. It opened my eyes to a lot because I wasn't always nice to myself in the thoughts that I had about myself, but it was in studying my own human design that allowed me to break free from that negative impact that I was having on myself. Language is an extremely powerful energy, whether it's spoken, written, thought, it doesn't matter. It's all energy. And the words that we use to measure our own personal worth is very important. And so if that is anything but love for you, then you're in the right place, because I'm going to show you why it's so important to change how you see yourself and how to change your perception of yourself so that you can start putting yourself first. It's been scientifically proven that the words that we use and what we tell ourselves has an impact on our health and on our body. And this picture here is an experiment that was done by Masaru Emoto. And what he did was he tested water by writing different words on a piece of paper and attaching it to the bottom of a glass, and then leaving it overnight and reviewing their form the next day. And what he found was that the vibration of our language changes the molecular structure of that water. So if you look at the picture on the left, that was a glass of water that had the words, "You make me sick," taped to the bottom. And if you look at the picture on the right, that glass had the word "love" taped to the bottom. And you can see there's a very big difference in the images. The one on the left is not as pretty as the one on the right. And, again, this is all perspective, but the one on the left sort of looks like somebody's being carried, and maybe there might even be some angel wings there because this person needs their angel with them. Not that we don't all need our angels with us. We definitely do. And I definitely believe that we always have angels with us, but you can see the picture on the left, they need a little bit of help. And the picture on the right, it's a strong, independent snowflake, and it's very beautiful. So the vibration of those words changed the molecular structure of that water. So imagine if it did that to water, what that does to the cells within us when we're not talking or even thinking high vibrational thoughts about ourselves. Does anyone have any questions so far? I'm going to get into how to run our own chart. And Colleen, I know you have your chart, but I want to walk you through it anyway. Just if you want to run somebody else's chart, you'll have the information on how to do that. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I'm just going to take a little drink and then I'm going to move on. So human design is an experiment where we get to decide what works for us and what doesn't. And this is kind of what I like about it, because you get to feel into it and get to understand your feelings and what you really are feeling once you start connecting with your own energy. Our human design maps the energies out for us so that we know what energies we have and where they come from. And this is really big in that it shows us how how to embody our natural abilities and align with our own integrity and purpose. And that allows us to be in alignment with who we were meant to be. And we can't live in integrity if we struggle with our sense of value. So, human design teaches us the meaning behind the energies within us so that we can learn to embody who we were meant to be and learn to value ourselves. And that allows us to see those parts of ourselves that we typically might see as broken from a completely different perspective. So, if you are not where you if you're not at a point in your life where you feel complete love for yourself, then you're in the right place because we are going to show you how to break free from that. So, human design is about possibility and expansion, and it teaches us how to find that within ourselves, and it helps us to gain that confidence so that we can learn to love and value ourselves. And so, I want to walk you through what it is and how I can support you on this journey. So, I'm going to walk you through the steps of how to run your own design. So, you're going to go to www.geneticmatrix.com, and then at the top of the screen you're going to see a icon that says free chart, or you can scroll down to the bottom and it's a little bit bigger and it looks just like this, and you can see there's a green and a red button. You can create a free chart here. You don't need to create an account. You can just go on and create a free chart. And you can do this for you. You can do this for all of your friends. Like, this is going to show you how to run everybody's energy so that you can run energy for whoever you want. And then it's going to bring you to this create foundation chart where you're going to fill in all of these green boxes. You're going to have your first name and your last name, and then your birth date is really important. It needs to be put in the same way as it shows here. So the 4 numbers of your year, the 2 numbers of your month, and then the 2 numbers of your day. And then you're going to put in your birth time. And the birth time is really, really important. And if you don't know it, it is on your birth certificate if you have that. If not, it will take a deeper dive into your chart, because we would have to run your chart for every 2 hours, and some cases maybe more if there are big changes, to see what, and then like really work with that to see what resonates with you and what doesn't. So the birth time is really important. And if you were born at night, you're going to want to put that in military, military time. You also need the country and the city or town of your birth, because where you were born is very important to tracking the energies of your unique energy. And at the bottom, you're going to see that there are 2 yellow rectangles. This is where it's going to convert your birth time to a complete, or it might be completely different, or it might be the same, different date. Don't worry about this. This is what's needed for the chart because it's run at a specific location, which is why we have to put our birth location in. And then once you get all that in, you're going to click create. And I'll give you just a minute to finish that. And if anybody has any questions, just go ahead and type them in the chat. All right, so your chart should look like this big graph on the right-hand side. And this happens to be my chart. So as we go through this, I'm going to talk through some of my energies so that you can see how I put all of this together and kind of mapped it out to my life, or kind of fit it in with my life. And this is, like I said, an experimentation. So you kind of have to apply what has happened in your life to your energies and see where they've fit, and maybe where they haven't fit, or not necessarily haven't fit, but where we may not have been using our energies correctly. And I'll go through some of that within my own design too, just to kind of show you. But the human design chart is a compilation of the Jewish Kabbalah, the Hindu chakra system, the Chinese I Ching, Eastern and Western astrology, and quantum physics. And so it's a map of each of our individual unique energies. So no 2 designs are going to be exactly the same. Even if you're twins, your energy may show up the same if you were born close together, but the way that you experience your lessons are going to be different. And so that's why you really need to relate it to your own life, because everyone is different and everybody has been conditioned in different ways. So the energy of you, of who you are, comes from the energy in the universe at the exact time of your birth. The energy of the planetary placements, as well as the neutrinos in the universe, are all imprinted within us, which makes up our unique energetic blueprint. And that's why our birth date, time, and location are so important. And those neutrinos that we're imprinted with are tiny particles that you can't see to the human eye, but they contain lots of information about who we are and how we're designed to interact in the world. So I'm going to walk you through what each area of the human design is and where to find it so that you know what you're looking for and why as we go through the chart. So the body graph, which is this graph right here with all these colored shapes and lines, this thing that looks really funny, that's the body graph. That's a compilation of your energy, but there is a lot in that little body graph. And so I'll do the anatomy of the human design just so that you can see. The energy centers are these shapes that are either colored in or white. And the centers represent specific themes where that thematic energy is going to play out in your life. The defined areas are the ones that are colored. So all of these ones that are colored in, those are defined. And that's what we radiate out into the universe. And then the open ones, which are the white ones, and you can see here my head center and my will center, which I have the arrow pointing to them right now so you can see. These are white. So these for me are open. And open is where we take in energy and amplify it. The gates are each of these numbers within these energy centers. These are all the gates. If yours are circled and colored in red, that means that you are defined in that particular gate. But if it's not circled in red, then you are not defined in that particular gate. And the gate is where the theme of the energy center gets even more specific. And each gate has, which we're not going to go through all of that today because it's just a lot of information, but each gate has information on how to express it in a low form, how to express it in a neutral form, and how to make the most of that energy. And so there's a lot of information in each gate, but we're going to start by just using energy centers because there's also a lot of information in the energy centers, and that's going to tell us a lot. The profile tells us the major life themes that we will encounter, as well as how we're going to interact in the world. It's sort of how we learn. The type is how we were designed to interact in the world. And you're going to get type when you run your chart. Over here, you can see it says type, and I am an emotional manifesting generator. So this is my authority is emotional. That's me. And then manifesting generator is my type. And then your profile is just below that. And you can see I'm a 5-1, and I will show you how we get that in just a couple of minutes. And the strategy comes from your type. And the strategy is how we were designed to respond to life. And each energy type has a different strategy. And so when we can learn our type, strategy, and authority, that's 70% of our design. So when we get that down, when we can manage that energies, we have a very good overview of who we are and how we were designed to be in the world. So here is where I will go through the entire chart and kind of describe the elements of the human design chart. The red squares on the left are your unconscious design, and the black squares on your right are the conscious design. And what that means is that the black side, your right side, that's the areas or the energy that you're likely aware of in your life. And the ones on the left side, the red, is energies that you're likely unaware of, but that like your family and friends will definitely relate to with you, that they're going to say, oh yeah, that's totally you. Where the black side is where you're going to say, oh yeah, that's totally you. So you're just a little bit more unaware of the subconscious side. But what I found is the older I get, the more I feel connected to both, the more I can see how both play out in my life. So the gates are these red circles within each square, but each of these black and red squares, you'll see there are numbers in them. The numbers before the decimal point, those are the gates. So if you look at, this is my sun, my conscious sun sign, this gate 23 at the top, you can see that that's where my sun gate is. It's in gate 23. So what that means is that, see here, when I go down to my throat center, that's my gate 23. It's highlighted in red and it's got a black line coming off of it. This means that that is my energy. And so that energy comes from my throat center and it's my sun energy. And sun is your personality. So a lot of my personality will get expressed through this energy, which is my throat center. And I'm going to go through that as an example. The number after the decimal point is your profile. And the profile is these first two numbers at the top on the black side and these first two numbers on the after the decimal point on the red side. Anything below those first two, those are called lines. So it plays out the same, where it's going to show you how you interact in the world and how you learn. But the top two on each side is 70% of your design, or is included in that 70% of your design. So this is a big factor of what you're going to see, how you're going to see your energies play out in life. So the conscious side, the black side, it comes from the planetary location from the very moment you were born, which is why that birth time is so important. Okay, Colleen says, why is an open G center a harder center? I have no red lines coming from a G center. I have one black incomplete gate. We share the channel, but mine's red. Okay, so the reason that the open G center is tough is because that's your heart center. And so that's where you feel love. And so if somebody around you is defined there and they're struggling with who they are, you're going to take on that energy. So not only are you going to feel your own energies, but you're going to feel it from other people and it's going to be amplified. And that's what can make that difficult. So think about somebody who's actually, you might have even felt this. You might be that type of person, which mine is defined and I'm still this type of person, but you might be the type of person where you see a commercial on TV that's sad and you can't help but cry. That's where we take in that energy. The red lines and the black lines, the only difference really between the two is that you're less aware of the red lines. That's these energies that come from the red side are these red lines from within your design. And the ones on the black side are the black lines. And where you see both, like you can see my gate 19, I have both red and black. That means I have a gate 19, both the black and the red side. And I can show you that here. I have it right here in Jupiter. And then on this side, I have it in my, right here. So that means I have that energy in both sides. Same with gate 32. I have gate 32 in both sides of Uranus. Oh, no, sorry. Uranus on the red side. And where is it on my black side? Oh, my moon. So that's how you're going to know where your energies are. Like if you look at all of these numbers, they're going to be defined over here. Because if they're not defined here, they're not going in your planetary signs. This is the exact placement of the planets at the time you were born. And that's where your energy comes from. Same with the lines here, how we have some red, some black, some white. When they're defined, they're going to be colored. And when they're open, they're going to be white. And you're going to take in energy in the open areas and amplify that. The red side, the unconscious side, This energy comes from the planetary location at exactly 88 days before you were born. And the reason that that is because that's a time in utero when we have the most brain development. And so that's where our energy comes from there. So the first thing I want to talk about is the type, because that's 70% of your design. It's 70% of who you are. So it's really it plays a big part in your energy, and it creates our perception of the world. So the type represents who we were meant to be based on our energetic design, how we're supposed to interact in the world. And it's really the most important part for us to master. So each type has a unique way in which it interacts in life, and that's called the strategy. And that's the most important thing of your chart to remember. Type helps us to understand how to make decisions so that we make the right decisions or choices based on our own unique energy. It's basically teaching us how to follow our intuition. And when you start doing this, you're going to start seeing that there's going to be changes in your life because you're responding to things differently. And that's where the change comes. And so this is sort of like our intuition blueprint. And there are 5 energy types. There's the manifester, and the manifester is here to start the process. So a manifester can start things, but they may struggle with finishing things. And people may even make fun of them or talk to them about, you always start all these things, but you never finish anything. That's how they're designed. They're designed to be the starters. And their strategy is to inform before they take action. So this doesn't mean that they need to ask for permission. It just means that they need to say, hey, I'm going to do this. And once they tell somebody that they're going to do it, then they can move into action. And we also have something called an emotional theme. And the emotional theme can tell us whether or not we're on the right track. So the emotional theme for the manifester is anger and peace. So when a manifester feels angry, that's a sign to them. This is their intuition telling them that they are either not following their energetic design correctly, or they're on the verge of a breakthrough. Because remember, I said that the universe throws us challenges, like it did today with my notes. And those challenges cause us to feel frustration or anger. And so if I'm a manifesting generator, and so my theme is frustration and anger. And so I was very frustrated today and a little bit angry that I lost access to my email. And if I would have just given up, I wouldn't have the opportunity to share this with you. And this tells me that I'm on the verge of a breakthrough, that I'm doing the right thing. But it could also tell me that I'm going down the wrong track and not following my energy properly. Now, I've studied my energy enough to know that that's not the case for me. And we're going to walk through that so that you can see that. But it's a good indicator when you are on the right track. And when you are following your energy the way that you're supposed to, as a manifestor, you're going to feel peace. And then the next energy type is the generator. And the generator they're the worker bees. They're the ones who create. So the manifestor starts the process, and then the worker bee comes in, and they are the ones who create something into form. And their strategy is to wait to respond. So they can't just jump into action like a manifestor can. They have to wait for something to respond to. And this doesn't mean they need to be invited. It means that they just need to see the signs in the universe. And one of the other things that you'll learn about human design is you really have to pay attention to the signs that are coming to you, because the universe sends us signs all day long, every single day. And when we learn to pay attention to those, that's going to guide us to our next right step. And the emotional theme for a generator is frustration and satisfaction. So when they are either on the verge of a breakthrough or not following their energy correctly, they're going to feel frustration. So that's going to be their indicator. Okay, wait, I need to sit back, relax, think about this. Am I on the right track? What do I need to change? What do I need to do differently? How do I need to respond differently? And then when they feel satisfaction, they know that they're on the right track because they feel satisfied. The manifesting generator is a combination of the manifestor and the generator. And their job is to be the multitasker. They're the ones who come here to get things done faster. So they like shortcuts. But a lot of times with a manifesting generator, they skip steps that are really important and they have to go back and redo stuff. And I know that this is something that I really struggle with because I do take a lot of shortcuts and I do have to go back and redo things a lot. And so human design has kind of taught me how to analyze what is it I'm going to cut out to make sure that I'm not skipping the wrong steps. And they need to inform and then respond. So they have to wait for something to respond to, just like the generator. So again, not an invitation, but as an example, if you really want to take a vacation, wait for the billboards to, well, wait for you to see the billboards on the side of the road, or maybe you get a flyer in the mail that's, advertising a cruise or an all-inclusive vacation. That's something to respond to. It doesn't have to be an invitation. And they also need to let people know what they're going to do before they do it. So all they have to do is say, hey, I'm going to do this. They don't have to ask permission. But once they get something to respond to, just say, hey, I'm going on vacation. The projector is the director. They're like the spiritual sparkle of the future. They're very spiritual in nature, but they need to wait for recognition and invitation. And so this is a little bit different because they need the actual invitation before they can step into something. And sometimes an invitation can show up as recognition. Hey, wow, you did a really good job on that project. You would be great at XYZ. That's recognition and an invitation. And their emotional theme, or their emotional theme, is bitterness and success. So when they are on the right track, they're going to feel successful. And when they are struggling with either not using their energy appropriately or on the verge of a breakthrough, they're going to feel bitter. And so when you feel this, you need to kind of step back and think about, am I on the right track? Do I need to change something? Is this because I'm on the verge of a breakthrough? And kind of feel into it. And Colleen, I think you said you were a projector. So this one is you. I don't know if you felt bitterness or success. Okay. I'm a splenic projector, and the projector for me is spot on. Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I haven't met anyone yet who this has not resonated with. And I've done hundreds of readings and several clients. So there's always, sometimes you're not going to resonate with everything because a lot of times that stuff, that energy is unconscious to you. But as you learn it, the unconscious pieces become more conscious and you see more. But pretty much everybody resonates with a large part of their energetic design. Tired of waiting for the invite. Yeah, no, I totally get that. But when you start watching for signs and synchronicities in the universe, that can be your invitation. So you have to really pay attention to what's going on around you. And sometimes I struggle with that because sometimes I get stuck in my head. And when I get stuck in my head, I can't see anything outside of me. And the last type is a reflector. And the reflector is a tough one to be. Oh, it says me. I think it just says me for you because it says Michelle. Is it Michelle or Michelle? It says that for me. It gives me your whole name. And what, Michelle? Okay, cool. Michelle, what was your energy type? Did you run your design? Well, you respond to that. I'm going to go on to the last one. The last one is a reflector, and the reflector is really tough to be. A reflector has all energy centers open, which means that they do not have any energies that connect together in their meridians. And I'll go through all that and show you. But they are here to be a karmic mirror, which means that people recognize things within themselves that they either like or don't like through the reflector. So that can be really tough because you're taking on energies of other people. And if say I was a reflector, if you saw something within me that you didn't like, I'm going to get that sense. And I'm going to feel your energy. Um, it's the energy type, Michelle. It's on your chart. Hold on, let me go back a minute. I'll show you. Right here where it says type, and it's right above your profile. But give us your profile too, because we're going to go into that too. And so a reflector's strategy is they are a lunar being. So they have, what that means is they have to wait a full lunar cycle before they can make a decision. And a full lunar cycle is 28 days. So that can be really challenging because oftentimes we're not given 28 days to make a decision. And so that can be a struggle, but understanding your human design helps you to understand your own energy and who you are to be able to manage that a little bit better. But they need to have clarity before they can move on. And their theme is, oh, no worries, Michelle. Let me go back again. I'll go back in 1 second. Let me just finish this. Their emotional type is disappointment and surprise. So again, they're going to feel disappointment when they're either on the verge of a breakthrough or they're going to feel disappointment when they're not following their energy correctly. Michelle, it's on this screen here. Your chart should look like this. And it's right above the profile. It says type, right below my black scribbles, the very first line underneath my black scribbles. And I'll hang out here for a minute so you can see. So it's going to be one of those 5 energy types. You're going to be a manifester, a generator, a manifesting generator, a projector, or a reflector. Whoops. These are the 5 energy types. So it'll be one of these. I think it's helpful to know, oh, you're a splenic projector too. Isn't that, Colleen, isn't that what you were, a splenic projector? Yeah, that's awesome. All right, cool. What's your profile? I wonder if you guys have the same profile too. So you guys can probably relate to each other. And so that's one of the other things too. Within our program that we have a weekly group meeting where we get together as a group and kind of talk things out. And if somebody's struggling with something or having a tough week, we can use the group to kind of get different opinions from different people because different people are conditioned different ways and different people have different energy types. So they may see things from a different perspective than you do that you've never thought of. So it's really helpful. Okay, 2-4. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to go through all of the profiles too. So that'll help you guys with that too. All right, so I want to give you an example from my life on how this plays out for me. I'm a multitasker. I'm a manifesting generator. So I multitask everything. I skip a lot of steps and I'm very passionate, which you can probably hear in my energy. And I have a lot of energy. So sometimes I come off as very intense. And I've really had to learn how to wait for something to respond to because I get so excited, I just jump in. So I used to just respond without waiting to respond until I understood my human design. So when I worked in corporate, this is how I responded. And so I struggled a lot at work in the way that I responded, but I didn't know that's what it was. It was in my response that was causing me to come off in a way which I hadn't really planned or wanted. And you can feel the way that that response is taken by other people in your energy, even if you don't see it. And that feeling was very painful for me. So it in turn made me feel like I wasn't good enough or like there might have been something wrong with me. But this was just my energy. It wasn't me. I wasn't using my energy properly. And as soon as I started waiting for something to respond to, my relationships changed and the way that people responded to me changed. So each energy type has that specific strategy that usually works best for them in responding in terms of energy. And when the energy flows smoothly, life just flows smoothly. So that right there is the key to human design, following the natural flow of your energy. And so in my program, I teach about the natural flow of energy and how to listen to it, how to hear what it's telling you so that you can use it to help life flow in the direction that it was meant to flow. But keep in mind that sometimes this isn't always the way that we want it to flow. It's the direction that we were meant to go in. So human design is guiding us to the way that we were meant to, or the way that we were meant to interact in the world, and the way that we were designed to be in the world. And sometimes it's not exactly what we had pictured or what we would want, because the universe, as I said earlier, throws us challenges and it throws us a lot of curveballs. So what we have to really do is pay attention to our energy, because our energy is what guides us to the right place. And a lot of times we get stuck in our head and we get stuck in our minds, and it's our minds that are guiding us to the wrong place. So understanding our energy helps us to separate that, to follow the energy as opposed to the mind and the thoughts. So as we get to know ourselves on that deeper level, the stories and the scenarios of the past start to make more sense. And then it helps us to let go of the stories that we've been telling ourselves that don't fit the person that we want to be. And so this is how we make the changes in our life permanently and embody that person that we want to be, is we start listening to our energy and letting those thoughts fall away. And it sounds kind of convoluted in the way that I say that, but you'll understand it better as we go through. And so along with your energy type, there's 70% of your design is type, strategy, authority, and then emotional theme, which we already went over type and emotional theme, but these things make up 70% of your design. So if you can just wrap your head around that, you have a pretty good chance of being able to, break everything down a little bit deeper. And I'm not saying that I'm expecting you to understand all of this today, because it's a lot of information in a very short period of time. But in the program, we work together to kind of go through this. And I'm there every week for questions. We have a online meeting every single week so that you can ask all the questions that you want. We can talk about, what's going on, and you may hear other people's stories. A lot of times we talk about other people's stories, trying to help them to break down their energies. So it's really kind of a safe place to learn who you are, but also understand how energy works, not just for you, but for other people as well. So strategy it's a clear plan of action. It's the way in which we need to respond to life, going by our type. And so this is where I went wrong earlier in my story. I didn't wait for something to respond to at work. And so I went against my energy. And then with my passion on top of that, it caused people to feel threatened. And if I would have just waited to respond to something, my passion wouldn't have come through the same way that it did. So my energy is designed to wait for something to respond to. So this is kind of what taught me, reflecting back on my life. Oh, that's why I always felt like I spoke at the wrong time, or I offended somebody when I didn't mean to. The authority is the way in which you're going to feel the energy within you to know what to respond to when the time is right. And so again, remember I said, pay attention to signs and synchronicities, because you're going to see those out in the universe, and pay attention to how you feel with those. And they're going to be your guidance. And my coach calls that the flavor of your energy, because it sort of is like the flavor of your energy. Your authority is going to be on your chart. When you run your chart, it's right next to your type. I believe you are both splenic. So you both have splenic authority. And there's different types. There's generated, splenic, emotional, ego, self-projected, and mental. And I'm an emotional manifesting generator. So I feel my energy through my emotional solar plexus, which means I feel it in my emotions. So I have to pay attention to my emotions, because they're going to guide me to what the right thing is. So like I said earlier, I knew immediately, just in the energy that I was feeling, when I had offended somebody in my response. And I just never knew why until I studied human design. So it sort of gives you the answers that you need to understand why you have felt the way that you have about certain things that have happened in your life. And then that kind of gives you permission to forgive yourself, because I know for me, I was like beating myself up, like, oh, I didn't mean to come off that way. People think this of me, and that's not necessarily true. But once I understood my human design, it helped me to forgive myself and change the way in which I responded. And when I started to see the response from others to be different, I knew that that's exactly what that was. And that's why I say that human design is an experiment, because you get to test it, you get to play with it and see how you feel. And when you start feeling good, then you're processing energy the proper way. The last piece to this is the emotional theme. This is the 70% part. This is one of the ways in which we know if there's a lesson or an opportunity that's being presented to us, but it can also let us know when we're operating out of alignment, which, trust me, is very, very helpful. So each energy type has a unique energy that represents the high or the low end. And we kind of went over this earlier, but anger, peace, frustration, satisfaction, frustration and anger, satisfaction and peace, bitterness, success, and disappointment, surprise is the reflector. And then there's also the two different sides of the chart. There's the conscious and the unconscious, and those are also called the life and the soul side. The unconscious is red, so that energy is consistent. You always have access to that energy, but it's unconscious. So you may not really be aware, especially early in life, but our family and friends knows that side of us. And the conscious, the black side, is energy that we're consciously aware of, and we can more easily change our responses than we can on the red side, or the unconscious, or the soul side. Each planet indicates the astrological position at the time of our birth, and it contributes a different energetic element to our design, because each planet also has something to teach us. And so when we combine the energy of the planet with the energy that we have within that planet, or even with all of our energies, our life and soul lessons are easier to understand and to navigate. So the black side is also considered the soul side, because this is energy that you're conscious of, you're aware of it, you have some control of it. It's the inner you. It's both sides are curriculum and lessons, but the black side are soul curriculum and soul lessons. So, everybody has different beliefs, but human design is structured on the belief in reincarnation. And so in past lives, you may have mastered these energies, or not mastered them, and you're here to master them in this lifetime, but you've had these energies before, so you're familiar with them, they're comfortable to you. The red side is the life side. So this is your life lessons, this is your life curriculum. And so this is what in this lifetime you are here to give to the world. You're here to share with the world in terms of energy. So as I said, each planet also has a different energy, and the energy of the planets impacts different areas of our life. So in human design, this is another aspect that we can connect with other energies, so that we can get them to kind of weave the story together. What does it mean if you have the same number on both sides? That just means that you have more of that energy. It means that your lessons are more focused in that area. And we'll go over that too. So each planet shows us how that energy relates to us. So for example, the sun represents what we're here to share with others, or our personality. And their attributes on the attributes are all on this slide. So if you want to do a screenshot, then you'll have this for the future. But to start unweaving our lives, I'm going to walk you through the process that I use and teach in my program. So first, you're going to want to write down the area of life that you're relating to in any given situation. So for example, if you are struggling in a relationship, you're going to want to look at the energies in your life that impact relationships. And so if you look at this chart here, relationships are in Venus. You can see here, Venus are what you value in relationships in life. So if you're struggling with relationships, you're going to want to look at the energies in your Venus sign, and the sign is next to it so that you can see what it is. So for me, when I was going through my awakening, I chose to look at Saturn because I was being taught some really big and really, really deep lessons. And that's why I was in so much pain. And so I just wanted to understand, what are these lessons I'm supposed to learn? Why does this keep happening to me? Why is the same thing keep repeating over and over and over again? And I also had some things that I vowed would never happen in my life to happen. Money would be Venus as well. I also had some things happen in my life that I never ever expected to happen to me, but they did. And so I needed to understand why. And I needed to understand why I felt shattered, because I literally felt shattered and I didn't know that I could move on. I didn't know if I could move on. I didn't know how. I had no support system left. I felt like I was all alone. Again, that abandonment wound came up because both of my parents left. I had lost my brother 10 years earlier, and I literally was alone. And I say that I wasn't really alone. I was married, I had a husband, I had 2 kids, but I felt alone because I didn't feel connected to my husband. My kids were both teenagers going off to college. They're not abandoning me, but they were leaving the nest too. So I felt like I was all alone. So throughout this workshop, I'm going to carry this through for you in an example that I'm going to use for myself to show you how I figured out what I had to heal within me. And so make sure you get a screenshot of this screen before I move on, because this is going to be the energies that you're going to need to focus on. All right. So what you want to do, Colleen, is look at the energy center that each Venus sign is in, the black and the red, because we're not going to get into gates in this just because it's way too much information. And there's 64 gates, and there's 3 energy sets within each gate, a high, a low, and a even keeled. So we're going to go based on energy center. Okay, perfect. I'm going to move on. All right, so the 6 profiles, and I know you guys told me your profiles, and I got to go back and look and see. 2, 4, and 3, 5. Okay, perfect. So we'll go over that profiles. 2, 4. I'm writing this down. 3, 5. So the profile is the theme of how we learn, and it gives us a good indicator of how we're going to travel on our journey of self-discovery. So the profile is what correlates to the Chinese I Ching. And that's been around for years and years and years. If you looked at all of the different aspects of human design, all of this has been around for millions of years. And so it's been used in ancient times, and they put all of that together and it gives us this energetic blueprint. So, as I said, of all of the clients that I have had, I have not met not one single person yet that hasn't related to at least some of their energy, usually the major aspects of it. And it's the littler things that we sometimes get a little more confused on. All right, let me go through the profiles. So there's 6 profiles. One is the investigator. And before I get into this, remember that the top 2 of the red and the black sided profile and everything below that is a line, but the energy is the same. It's just called something different. So the line 1 profile is the investigator. And these are the people that are really curious and introspective, and they really need to understand and dig deep. So I'm a 5-1. So 1 is on my red side, my unconscious side. But I'm very, very aware of how much I need to investigate stuff, especially in the last few years, because through studying energy and human design and gene keys and numerology and all that stuff that I've studied to put this program together, I had to I literally investigated everything to death. I had to make sure that I had it just right before I put it out there, because I needed to understand it for myself. And then I needed to put it out in a way that I knew people were going to understand it for them. So I still spend a lot of time investigating, and I still do a lot of research. I still take classes because I just need to go deeper. I just need to understand the deep, dark parts of who I am. Line 2 profile is the hermit, and the hermit likes their alone time. They are designed to be called out. So the alone time that they enjoy is their rest time. This is when they should be resting, because when somebody needs their help, they're going to call them and say, hey, would you be able to help me with this? Or, hey, I could really use your help with this. And the rest time is when you're building that energy back up so that you can go back out into the universe and help other people, or do things that you were called out to help with or help support with. The line 3 is the experiential learner. And so these people learn through experience. And this is a tough one to be, because, yeah, see, that's totally me. It's amazing how detailed this gets, and how it really, really resonates on such a deep level. The line 3 is the experiential learner, and they learn through experience, which means all of those mistakes that you think you've made throughout your entire life, they weren't really mistakes. They were learning opportunities. They were put in your life to help you to learn a lesson. And that goes for all of us, whether you're a line 3 profile or not. There is no such thing as a mistake. And the human design system is going to teach us how to feel into our energies so that we better know how to manage that. So we don't, I don't want to say make mistakes, because they're not mistakes, but we don't do that as much. But the first part of a experiential learner's life is really making all the mistakes that you could possibly make so that they can learn from them and not make those mistakes again. Line 4 is the opportunist, and these are the people who learn through relationships. Relationships are really, really important to an opportunist, or to the line 4. My daughter is a line 4, and her friends mean the world to her, and you can just see it in the way that she interacts with people. She just recently broke up with her boyfriend because he came between her friends. That's how important relationships are to her. And she said to me the other day, yeah, because my friends are lifers. And so relationships to a line 4 profile are really, really important. And they also need to be certain. So they're not going to make a decision unless they know exactly what they want, which human design will help with, because it helps them to read their own energy. A line 5 is the heretic. And this is kind of like the reflector, where they teach others through reflection, meaning that the things that you see in other people that you either like or don't like are what you need to work on within you. So that where you get triggered is what you need to work on. And so I'm a line 5 profile, and I'm a 5/1, and the 5 comes out a lot for me, or it used to come out a lot for me. It still does, but it used to be much more negative than it was, because I didn't know how to manage it. But now I know when I get triggered by something, that it's something that I need to look within and find within myself that I need to heal, something that I'm missing. And then the line 6 is the role model. And the role model has a triphasic lifestyle. So what that means is that in the early years of life, they're just like a line 3, where they make a lot of what they think are mistakes. And then in the middle part of their life, they use those mistakes to learn and to grow and to make better decisions. And then from age 50 and on, everything that they learned from age up to age 50 has helped them to be able to create the life that they want based on what they learned in that role model profile in that first 50 years. And a role model can also be considered a late bloomer, and they can seem like they're aloof. That's the way that they were designed, because they again, I'm going to say make a lot of mistakes, but those aren't mistakes. They make what they think are mistakes a lot in early life, but those are really learning opportunities. The more mistakes, quote, that they make, the more learning opportunities that they're giving themselves. So it's pretty cool how this works. So I want to show you an example from my life. So I'm a 5-1 profile. And so when I look at life, I see the characteristics of my profile in my daily life. I learn a lot by the energy that I get back from others because I am that line 5 profile, the karmic mirror, which is why it's really important for me to value myself, because when I value myself, that's what gets reflected back to me. But when I'm hiding behind my shadow, that's what's reflected back to me. And so when you're feeling bad about yourself or feeling low on your self-esteem and no confidence, and that's what's being reflected back to you, that hurts. So when we can heal this and we can find our value, it's that value that gets reflected back to us, and that feels good. And that's why I keep doing this, and that's why I want to keep teaching people how to do this, because it's a really good way to look within and to really see how important we really are, how valuable we really are. Michelle says, I just recently experienced a breakup which inspired me to research why I am the way I am. That's how I found you. So 2-4 is truly spot on. Yeah. And you know what's funny is when you go on this journey, you know, some people call it a midlife crisis, some people call it a spiritual awakening. Finding human design allowed me to change it from a midlife crisis into a spiritual awakening. And I think the difference between the two is that a spiritual awakening helps you to learn how to use your energies more appropriately and helps you to become who you were meant to be, helps you to be stronger and to value yourself more. Whereas if I just chalked it up to a midlife crisis and let the shadow side take over, I probably would have been worse off than I was when it all started. And it's usually something big that happens, like a breakup or a death or a marriage ending or things, losing parents, like in my case. It's usually something big that causes it to happen. All right, so let me go back. In my line 1 profile, I'm not comfortable putting anything out into the world until I have researched it to death, because I have to understand it before I can even believe it. And so how can I present something to someone else when I don't believe it myself? Colleen says, I had a spiritual awakening with a download to end my marriage and help humanity. Wow, Colleen, I can totally relate to that. Totally. I think, you know, once you have a spiritual awakening, and especially when you start studying human design, you get downloads from the universe. And I know some people think that sounds crazy, but you 100% do. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. So when I go back on an example from my life, when I brought the energy of the planet, which remember, I chose Saturn because that was my lessons. When I brought that energy together with the lines, it showed me a deeper level of what I was learning. And I have lines 4 and 3 in my Saturn gate. So when you combine the lines of that particular gate with all of that other energy, you get so much information. It's like weaving a story together. So I have lines 4 and lines 3 in my Saturn gate, and line 4 is all about relationships. And I was definitely learning through relationships. And line 3 is experiential. And experiential, remember, nothing is a mistake. It's all part of the process. The things that happen are experienced to teach us lessons, and that's how we grow. So understanding that really kind of helped me to forgive myself, because I realized that these were all opportunities that were being given to me to grow. But before I knew human design, before I understood my energy, I didn't know that. And so I wasn't allowing it to guide me to the right place. Because life is really a school. Our experience, what we experience in life are our lessons. And as we start to pay attention to the energy around us and within us, we start to see the path. We start to see that the things we've gone through have actually helped us to stand strong in who we are today, to stand strong in the face of adversity. And we start to forgive ourselves because we realize that we can't change the past. We can only do better in the future. And by learning our unique energy, we're supporting ourselves on a lifelong journey of discovery. And so when we weave it all together, it really gives us quite a interesting story. And then when we relate our lives to the story that we're looking at in our human design, it all starts to make sense. So the next part I want to talk about is the energy centers. And the energy centers are each of the shapes within our body graph. And each energy center also brings with it another element to the energy. And so these are like energy hubs where they're associated with the Hindu chakra system. So each energy center generates and manages a different kind of energy. They're like energy hubs within our body. And if you look at the body graph, it kind of tells you where each of those is within your body. And so each energy center brings with it a different element of the energy that you can add together to weave your story. So the head center is inspiration or ideas. So this is where the universe sometimes talks to us and drops inspirations and ideas down on us. And then the next center down is the ajna center. This is the head center where your ideas and inspiration come from. And then your ideas and inspiration drop down into your ajna center. And this is where you break down those ideas and come up with a plan. This is where you break everything down to get certain on what it is you want. And then when you're certain about everything and you've broken it all down into bite-sized pieces, then it goes down into your throat center. And this is the center for communication and manifestation. So this is you bringing those ideas out into the world. The identity center, or the G center, is this one with the heart in the middle. And this is the center for love and life direction. And this is where love and the magnetic monopole live. So remember I told you that your energy is going to call in, it's going to magnetize the energy that you need back to your life. And I'm going to go through that a little bit deeper as we go on. But this is where that magnetic monopole lives. And I think we talked a little bit earlier about when this is open, that means you take in other people's energy and amplify that. And also when this is open, you can tend to feel a sense of unworthiness or unlovableness. You can feel like you're not lovable or that people don't love you and you don't understand why when that's open. But again, that takes in energy from other people and amplifies it. So that could be part of that. The next energy center is this one where Superman is, and this is the will center, and this is the center for value and willpower. And this is where self-worth lives. So when this is open, we can suffer from feeling a sense of unworthiness. And if you remember, my chart has this open, and so I suffered this a lot. I felt like the abandonment wound kept hitting me over and over and over again because I didn't feel worthy, because this was open for me. And when it's open, I take in other people's energies and amplify it, plus my own conditioning that had happened. So I had a lot of energy to break down within this area. And I do still struggle with this because this isn't like a overnight system. This is something you need to work on for the rest of your life. But once you know where your energies are and what they mean, then you can work on it for the rest of your life. And you have all of this information that you need forever. So you can always look back on it. The next energy center is the emotional solar plexus. That's this one here. And this is where you have emotional clarity. This is where our feelings are, where we feel our emotions. And so if you have this energy center, which I do as the authority, then this is where you're going to feel into the way in which you should respond. The next energy center is the sacral center. So that's this one with the battery in the middle. And this is the life force energy center. This is what makes people a generator. When this is defined and connected a certain way, that's the life force energy of a generator. And this is where some of those gut feelings also come from. This energy center in pink with the clock in it, this is the root center, and this is the adrenaline energy, and this is where we get the energy to push through or to start something new. But this energy is a little bit, you have to really pay attention to it because it gives you pulses to step into action, but you have to be aware of that pulse because it's only going to give it to you once. And so that's why in the program, we also talk about awareness. We have a whole section on practicing awareness because we have to be aware of what we're feeling at all times in order to be able to explore our energy on a deeper level and really figure out who we are. And then this one here is the splenic center. And I believe both of you are splenic projectors. So both of you have this probably defined. And this is the center of time, intuition, survival. So this is where our fears live. And oftentimes we allow our fears to hold us back when they're really nudging us forward to step outside of our comfort zone. So it's really important to be able to read your own energy. And intuition is also here. Gate 57, which is up at the top of this center, that is the intuition gate itself. So if you have that defined, it means that you have a very good sense once you understand your energy, you have a very good sense of your intuition. And you may even understand it now, even without understanding energy. So the energy centers they act differently whether or not they're open. So again, the energy centers are all these shapes that are either colored in white or white. And they act differently whether they're open or not. The open centers take in energy from others and from the universe, and they amplify it. And then the defined or the colored ones, they have consistent access to that energy so that their responses are usually consistent in those areas. And even if you don't have something highlighted, we all have all of these energies. We all have access to all of it. What differs is how we resonate and how we respond depending on our own definition, who we're with, and the transits that are going on in the universe at that particular time. So I want to just go through this chart really quick. These white ones are the ones that are undefined or also called open. And then the colored centers are defined, and that's where we have consistent access to energy. When a gate is defined, it's circled in red. So you can see all these numbers in red here. Well, the numbers are in white and they're circled in red. That's when a gate is defined. And the meridian coming off of that gate are going to be colored either red or black, depending on the side that energy is. So for example, if you look right here in my bottom of my G center, this yellow sideways square here, gate 2 is defined, and you can see that there's a black line coming off of it. That's because I have gate 2 in my Mercury gate right here. And then if you look at, let's look at gate 9 down here in the sacral center, you can see that half of it is both black and red. That means that I have that energy on both my conscious and my unconscious side, which you can see here. I have that in Neptune on both the conscious and the unconscious side. And that just means that energy is a little bit stronger. These gates down here are generational. So you're going to find that when you run charts for people that were born in the same time frame as you, that you're going to probably have the same gates, just because these planets take longer to move around the universe, where some of them are going to change more often, and those are more personal to you. There's also these lines that are here. These are called meridians. And when the whole thing is lit up, like here, gates 46 to 29 between my G center and my sacral center, that whole thing is lit up. That means that I have a channel. That means that my energy can freely move from one energy center to another. But when you only have half of it lit up, whether it's black or red, doesn't matter, that's called a hanging gate. And that's where you magnetize the other half of that energy to you. So if you've ever had those relationships where you just feel like a connection to them, like, wow, like they really get me, they probably have the other half of some of your hanging gates, because that helps you when you're with them, it gives you that energy. So for example, this gate 45 coming off my throat is a hanging gate. If somebody I was with had this gate 21, that would highlight this whole channel for me and my will center. So it would change the way in which I felt about myself, because I then would have more energy and the energy would freely move between these centers. And so that's the difference between when half of a channel is lit up or the whole thing is lit up. So just to bring my example full circle, in human design, besides looking at our conditioning, which is really important, in which we do in the holistic energy empowerment system, the whole first part of the program is breaking down conditioning. We have to look at what makes up the energy that we've been feeling. So I'm going to break down my energy for you so that you can see it here. So Saturn brings with it the energy of the lessons that we're here to learn and overcome. And it shows us any obstacles that may come up for us. So this is my Saturn gates here, gates 45, 35, and 45. And so the lines in my Saturn gate, show me that learning and growing, I get to fulfill the potential through relationships and through experiences. So remember I said that the lines are the number after the decimal point, the profile on the top two, but they're lines the rest. So here I'm a 45.4. So my profile is a 0.4. And here I'm at 35.3. So my profile or line is a line 3. So a line 4 and a line 3. Line 4 is all about relationships. And so I know that relationships are really important to me, or they need to be in my lessons. I need to make them a priority because I need to be certain before I can communicate or manifest anything. And I need to make sure that the relationship remains a priority. So that's part of my lesson, is to make sure that relationships are prioritized in my life. And then line 3, remember, that's the experiential energy. So the experiences that I have encountered in life have guided me towards the right things. But sometimes in order to find the right path, we have to make a lot of mistakes in the process, because it's through those mistakes where we learn. It's experiential learning. So this tells me that some of the experiences where I felt the impacts of maybe not doing things the way that my energy is designed, those were learning opportunities. And in the past, I would have claimed a victim mindset and not learned from that just because I didn't know any better and I was stuck in my head. But in understanding my own energy, I now know that that happened to me because I wasn't following my energy the way that I needed to. And so it helps to guide me. Now I use it as a guidance point to know that, okay, if I make a mistake, it's not a bad thing. It's a growth opportunity. What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? So the energy center that all of that is happening in is my throat center. So if you look, gate 45 and 35 are in my throat center. And remember, the throat center is all about manifestation and communication. So our lessons guide us to where we're meant to be. And those lessons were guiding me to use my voice to communicate and to manifest. So most of the lessons in my life are going to be based around what I can communicate or what I can manifest in my life through relationships and experiences. So what I found was that the events that were going on in my life were my energy that was guiding me to my purpose. And when I put all of that energy together, the lessons of Saturn that I'm here to master are really using my throat to communicate by sharing resources based on my experiences and through my relationships to help others. And that's exactly why I'm here doing this for you today. That's one of the things that I learned in studying my human design, is that that is part of what I'm here to do. It's part of my purpose. So just to take this one step further and look at another element of my design, just because I want you to see how this can all fit together. Let's look at my sun and my earth gates. And so I'm just going to look at the black side for the purposes of this today. You can see that I have gate 23 in my sun and gate 43 in my earth. And these two, the sun and the earth on both sides, are part of what we call, or part of what human design shows as purpose. But I believe that the entire chart is your purpose because it's all of your energy put together that makes up who you are. But before I go on, let's see, both my Saturns are 4s. Okay, so that means that you're here to learn through relationships. So your lessons are going to be experienced through relationships. One of my Venus is head and the other is sacral. What is a 2? Do you mean what is a 2, gate 2 or profile 2 or line 2? Is it this point 2 that you're looking at? Point 2 is the hermit. Okay, the point 2, that's the line 2, that's the hermit. They like their alone time and they're designed to be called out. So when somebody needs something, they will call you out. You will always be called out to help, but you need to make sure that you rest. So one of your lessons is to rest and wait and to be called out. Venus in the head center is speaking to ideas and inspirations. And in the sacral center is speaking to life force energy. So you kind of have to put those energies together with what's going on in your life and see if you can make sense of that. And if I'll talk at the end about how to work with me, but one of the things that we do is through the program, you're going to learn all that. But then we also have a more in-depth program where we have one-on-one sessions where we dig into your chart more deeply. We do that together. And we can go through all of that there, but we also do that in the program. It's just a little bit deeper and more personalized when we do it on a one-on-one level. But anyway, so my sun gate is in gate 23. You can see here, which is in the throat. And gate 23, the energy of gate 23, it's in the throat center. So you know it's something around communication and manifestation. But when you get into the individual gate energies, it gives you a lot more information. And gate 23 says it's the ability to translate bigger ideas into smaller, more manageable bite-sized pieces. So basically breaking down information in a way that help people to understand it better. And my conscious earth gate is in gate 43. That's this one here. And gate 43 is in my Ajna center here. And the energy of gate 43 is trusting in the epiphanies and knowing when and how to translate the message. So it's sort of a transformative messenger type of energy. And then my profile is a 5-1. So those are my lines in those areas. But remember that 5 is the karmic mirror and 1 is the investigator. So I've done a good deal of my own healing using this process and really being honest with myself. I investigated the shit out of human design among a bunch of other energy modalities because I wanted to understand it and I wanted to be able to present it to others in a way that they could understand it. And I did this before I put myself out there because that's the energy of my line 1. The energy center in gate 23 is the throat center. And so I'm definitely here to communicate something. But when you connect that to my earth gate in gate 43, which is the breakdown of ideas into an easier way for others to understand it, and then you combine that with my Saturn lesson, and it shows up in my life as breaking down data and information into more manageable, bite-sized pieces and trusting in my inner knowing and epiphanies to share that resource with others. And others can also use that same information to support them on that journey. And so when I saw that this is what that meant for me, that's exactly what I'm here doing for you today. That's how I knew that I was going to be living my purpose if I started teaching people how to do this, how to recognize their own energy. So I do believe that this is part of the purpose that I am here to fulfill. I have those two exact channels and lines, but unconscious side. So, and conscious and unconscious doesn't matter. You still, you have all of the energy anyway. The only difference between the red and the black is how you resonate, and you may not have as you may not have as much of a knowing that you have the anything on the red side. So that's really the only difference. But what that energy is telling you is that you're here to break down information into smaller, more bite-sized pieces and communicate that out to help other people to manifest.
I'm a different person than what I was.
Sorry. So our program is, I want to tell you a little bit about our program. It's focused around our clients' unique energy because we're all different. And I want my clients to get results. I want them to get the results that they're looking for. So we focus on each individual's person's unique energy to help them to understand what their own unique energy is telling them. And then we show them how to apply it to their lives so that the message is unique to them and based on their own interpretation. It's a way to get in touch with your intuition. And so I know when I was going through this, I was desperate to find peace and I didn't care what it took. And that's how I came up with this system. I spent probably the better part of 3 years studying human design, gene keys, numerology, all of those energy modalities for every single self-discovery thing that I could find, every energy healing course I could, and I learned as much as I could. And I still to this day do it because I love it. I mean, it's to the point where if no one else is home, I won't even watch TV. I'll go sit in front of YouTube and pull up an energy video because I get so much out of it. And so I love it, but I also know how expensive it is to go and study all of these different modalities and figure it all out for yourself and put it all together. And so that's why I put this together. It can get really expensive, it's time consuming. And when you feel the way that you do, you want that to end now. Like you want it to be quick. And so what I did was I put everything that I learned all together and tied it all together in the program so that I could offer it all in one place. And I know how precious time and money are to a lot of people. So in this package, you're going to get everything that you need to understand your energy, which includes 12 modules. It's all self-guided, but it's self-guided, but you also have access to me the whole time. So anytime you have questions, we have weekly meetings where we can talk about those. There's within those 12 modules is over 40 lessons. It includes 5 individual meditations, which were not taught by me. I contracted one of our local meditator, I don't know what they call themselves. She works for an energy healing studio, a yoga studio. So I brought her in to teach individual. The first one is teaching you why meditation is important. And then she gives you 5 individual meditations as part of the course. It includes action tasks for each module because you have to be able to put everything together in order to be able to make this work. And so the action tasks that I give you are going to help you to relate what you're learning to your life so that you know how to bring that together, so you know how to look at it in a different way. We have group coaching calls. That's a weekly meeting it's not mandatory, but it's highly recommended. Most of my group says that is the best part of the program. And in all honesty, I love that part because I get to talk about what I love and then I get to help other people. A lot of times in that group, we just get together and talk about what's going on in our lives and how we feel and get different opinions. And sometimes it's you guys that help me. A couple of weeks ago, I had an epiphany in the group. They had me crying. They were telling me what to do based on a situation that I was going through and struggling with. And sometimes we can step out of where we know we need to be just because life gets in the way. And it was through the group that helped me to realign myself. So it's pretty awesome. It's helpful to everyone that goes to the meetings. And I'm going to play you a little clip from some of the members of our group. At the time I recorded it, there was only a few members. So you'll hear what they have to say. I should probably redo it, but for now, that's what I have. It also includes a free Facebook community group filled with other people who are going through similar situations. So you can always go on there, ask questions, support each other. And this is separate. If you belong to the Finding Your True Self Facebook group, this is separate and outside of that. It is just for the program. It's just for people who are in the program. It's called the Holistic Energy Empowerment System Coaching Group. And then there's also, in addition to all of that, I offer one-on-one options where we go through your individual chart together and break that down to really get to the root of your unique individual energy. That there's 2 different programs for that. One of them offers 3 one-on-one hour-long sessions, and the other one offers 6 one-on-one hour-long sessions. And I'll go through all those too. I'm gonna play this clip for you and hopefully you can hear it. But if you can't hear it, please let me know in the chat and I'll stop it, because the last time I played it, I couldn't, well, the first time I played it, they couldn't hear it. And the second time I played it, they could. So if you can't hear it, just let me know in the chat. And this is just what our members are saying about the group to kind of give you a inside look at what we do in there.
I'm a different person than what I was, a couple years ago. It takes practice. It's not something that just comes naturally, but it's being aware and being present and trying not to think too far ahead in the future or in the past, and just really be present. And honestly, a lot of the tools that you learn along the way kind of teach you to like recognize when you've fallen off and how to get back on. And recognizing it is the biggest piece for me. Like just being able to recognize it. And I think the more you do it and the more you're on this journey, the easier it absolutely is.
I think without having this, I would be in really bad shape. I really feel this has helped me a lot.
Like every time I come to this class, I feel so much more positive and re-energized just from, going through the information. And I look forward to the meetings because just talking about things and the energy from, you girls also is like, you feel it when you're on the call, So
I agree. I look forward to it too. And I definitely think that the energy together really helps us to heal, helping us to learn who we are at that deeper level, to help us to go through these lessons and be able to look at the bright side of it. Because when you go through something horrible, you don't think there's a bright side to it. There's no way that there could be a bright side to that. But once you start on this journey, you realize that there have been little lessons that have built you up to be strong enough to get through that. And so there's a reason, you just don't know what.
There's certain things that happen in your life that put you on this journey,
Yeah.
at times and with different people. I think you've got a lot of great stuff in here, and it's all super helpful, and it's all stuff you can always look back on and help to like recharge.
You can step outside your comfort zone and heal those inner wounds.
And that's a big one for me. I've had it since I was little.
You got to focus on the now. You can't worry about the future because the worry takes away from the now.
Who's taking care of you?
So I hope that you will start taking care of you first, because in all honesty, when you take care of you first, there's more of you to give to more people. So you're really helping people more by taking care of you first.
So that's just a few of the girls in the group that are discussing how they feel about it. One of the girls, Alicia, is actually going to start working with me now to help support the team. We're going to actually, starting in January, we're going to do a podcast together as well. So it's really a great group. It's the energy around it is fantastic. One thing that I will tell you though is which I don't think I have to worry about anybody coming in that's trying to help themselves. So I don't think I have to worry about this, but just so that you know, we make sure that it's only focused on the positive. We do talk about the things that are bothering us and the things that are hurting us, but we're not in that victim mindset, and we won't allow anybody else to be in that victim mindset. We're going to tell you what it is you need to do to get out of that victim mindset if you find yourself there. So it's really an exciting group. It's really energizing, and I look forward to it every week. There are times that we don't have it. If there are no questions and there are if no one can come, then we don't have the meeting. But as long as there's one person there, we're going to have it. And we usually have that at least 3 times a month. There is a possibility that once a month it will get canceled, but I try not to, because some people can make it to some and not others. So let's talk about cost. And this is always the worst part for me because I love what I do so much. I wish I could do it for free, but there are costs associated with running the business. And so the offer that I'm going to make you is more than fair because I am going to assume all of the risk. And I want this to be something that you go into knowing that this is the right program for you and that you will get results as long as you put in the work. This is a transformative process, so it definitely takes your participation and desire to want to make those changes. And so it makes that a big risk for me to take this on. But I am so confident in this program and in you guys that if you put the time in and you do the work, I know it's gonna work out. I know it's gonna help you to find yourself. So I'm gonna offer this guarantee that if within the first 60 days you feel as if you're struggling with the process, it's not working for you, you don't understand yourself, you're not getting anything out of it, as long as that you can show that you've put the effort in, I will work with you one-on-one to help you to uncode your design or to decode your design and show you how to do it in one-on-one sessions. And then if you're still not, and I'll do that for up to 2 1-hour sessions. And if you're still not satisfied, you're able to apply for a refund. Now there are requirements because obviously a lot of this depends on you guys doing the work. So there's the requirements are like you have to attend so many meetings and you have to show me that you've actually done the work. But I'm willing to take on that risk because I know it works and I haven't had anybody yet that it's failed with. Everybody that's gone through the program has gotten something out of it and come out the other side feeling like a completely different person. So I know it works. And so I'm willing to make that guarantee and I'm willing to work with you one-on-one if I need to. So what I want to do is I want to put the link in the chat. Did you guys download the workbook by any chance? If you could just let me know in the chat, and I'm gonna go and get the program link and put that in the chat. Oh, that didn't come through as a link. Hold on. Okay, I just put the link to sign up there. But let me go to costs so that you can see that. I pulled it up, but I don't think I downloaded it. Okay. Let me put the link to the workbook in there too, just so that you have it, because you can do this on your own after. And I'm still available if you have questions. The only thing is, like I said, my email is down. So if you have questions, go to the Finding Your True Self Facebook group and message me there and or somewhere on Facebook, and I'll answer any questions that you have on that. Let me go into the actual costs so that you can see that. All right, so the total cost for the program, I've reduced it significantly because I want to help as many people as I can. So right now I'm running a miracle special, and I'm not calling it a Christmas special because I believe in miracles and I don't know how long I'm going to run it for. It may be well after Christmas, it may not be, I don't know. It depends on how well we do. So right now the special is it's regularly $514, but right now I'm offering it for $333 when you pay in full. And that includes 6 months access to the program, the weekly call, and the Facebook group. And there's also the option to add the 3 one-on-one chart dissection meetings or 6 one-on-one chart dissection meetings. So to add 3, that's the signature program. That was $719. That's going to be $538 when you pay in full. And then if you want more time digging into your chart, the 6 1-hour one-on-one chart dissection meetings is $740. And those prices are available for when you pay in full, when you use coupon code New Beginnings in all caps. So I'm going to put that in the chat just so that you can have it. Coupon code. Because honestly, this process is going to create a new beginning for you. So that's why that coupon code. And so with that coupon code, you are going to save $181, which is quite a big savings. But I do have limited spots available in the platinum and the signature because my time is limited and I want to be able to spend as much time as I can supporting you. And so there's only 5 spots available for the each of the higher levels. So if you make the decision to put yourself first and put the effort in, there's no way you're going to fail. I'm here with you every step of the way. You have weekly access to me in the group meetings and opportunities to connect with me in other ways. This journey is a journey of self-discovery. So it does take some effort on your part. But when you combine your effort with your energy, you definitely cannot go wrong. If you cannot pay in full and you need a payment plan, I ask you to let me know. Reach out to me via Facebook or through, well, my email's not working right now. So reach out to me through Facebook, or actually, I'll give you the link to book a call with me. And if you need payment plans, we can work that out and we can do that on an individual basis. That's the link to book a call with me. Okay. Michelle, that's fine. Just, stay connected. And then I'm just going to put the enrollment link in there one more time. So you have that. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go into questions because I'm sure that you have questions. While you type up any questions that you might have, I will walk through a couple of the most common questions. You can ask me anything you want about the program or what we talked about here today, anything you want, just throw your questions in the chat and I'll just go over common questions. So one of the questions that I get a lot is, am I too old to take this journey? And one of the things I tell people is this is a journey of self-discovery. So you are never, ever too old to go through a journey of self-discovery. And in all honesty, the majority of our group are over 60 years old. So there are older people in the group. I think I myself am over 50. I think that it's older people who realize that they need to do something. I don't think I knew at a younger age that there was even a way to change the way that I was thinking or feeling, that it was even possible. So it doesn't matter how old or young you are, everyone is welcome and everyone can benefit from it. Another question I get is, what is the journey and how do I know if I'll be successful? Well, again, the journey is a journey of self-discovery. And if you put the work in and you work with me, you will be successful and I will work with you to make sure that you are. So you cannot fail. One of the other questions I get is, what if I can't find the answers I'm looking for? If you can't find the answers that you're looking for, then you might be looking in the wrong place. And that's where the weekly group is fantastic, because it gives you the opportunity to present what you're feeling or thinking or going through and allowing others to give their perception on it, which is going to give you different insights that you wouldn't normally have. So one of the other questions that I want to address is, why should I buy from you? And so I believe you should buy from me because I have put a ton of time, energy, and money into learning how to stop those repeat patterns of chaos and drama, how to stop being taken advantage of, stop allowing everyone else to walk all over us, and finally being able to take our power back. And I can save you a ton of time, energy, and money because I've put it all together in one system, all tied together. So it's literally plug and play. So I want to save you time, energy, and money, the time, energy, and money that I indulged, and just give it to you in one simple toolkit to help you to learn. Okay, I don't have any questions, but I have some free stuff for you guys. So I have really loved sharing my passion with you today. So thank you so much for sharing in this and being here with me today. And so as a thank you, I want to share my beginner's guide to human design with you. And that's a guide that's going to walk you through what human design is and how it can help you. and a guidebook to understanding your energy. And if you are not already part of the Facebook group, I encourage you to join that. It is, you go to Facebook/group/self-love journey. And I also have a free bonus for anyone who signs up today. You will get a free human design reading from me, and you will have the option, it'll be emailed to you, and you'll have the option to book a meeting with me to go over that one-on-one at no charge to anybody who signs up today. And that could be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. So I'm going to throw the links for the free things in the chart right now. So the Beginner's Guide to Human Design is here. So I hope you'll take advantage of these. They're pretty cool. If you have any trouble at all, oh, that didn't work either. Hold on. If you have any trouble at all, let me know and I will make sure that you get them. And then the guidebook to understanding your energy here. That's that link. And then I'm going to give you the link for the Facebook group just in case. And I also would ask that if you know anybody that would enjoy the free Facebook group, please invite them to join. I'm trying to get to 1,000 members by next week. And we're like about 200 away. So if you know anybody that would be interested, please pass that along. And if you have any questions after this, I'm available through Facebook. Please don't hesitate to ask. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. I want you to succeed. I want everybody to see how awesome this system is. So again, thank you so much for being here. I really love sharing my time with you today. Thank you for sharing your energy with me. This has been fantastic. So thank you again, Colleen and Michelle, and I hope to see you inside the program. Thank you.